Hi, welcome to Hit the Bricks. I'm Jesse and I'm going to be your tour guide, if you will, taking a look at this modular building here. Yes, modular. We'll get to that in just a moment. This is the Seafood Market by the creator Jepaz. It is available on Rebrickable. That's where I got it from. It is a $15 US dollar PDF download. That being said, I downloaded it, I paid for it. I'm not affiliated with the designer, Rebrickable, or the Lego group for that matter, so a non-compensated review, if you will. I simply bought this because I want to put it in my Lego city. If you're familiar with the channel, then you know that I'm building this Lego city from scratch. If you're not familiar with the channel, I'm building a Lego city from scratch. I'm starting from IKEA tables like this and then using a mixture of model railroading and Lego techniques as far as the elevation goes, and then we're going to build a hopefully pretty exciting Lego city. So this is going to go in it. So I thought, well, I'm building it. I'm going to share it with you. I'll go over my thoughts as far as how the building process was, what I thought of the actual PDF instructions, what I think kind of the highlights are, some sort of issues that I had building it. I'll go through that. And then I'll also go through the things that I changed, mostly colors. Some I changed it up quite a bit. So in the back, I did have to change up the building a little bit because I got a rail yard going back here. And that's going to be part of the whole harbor scene. So I needed to change out the building to really fit it in there and make it look the way I wanted to. Now this design was made in 2020. So it's a very current model and it fits in really well with the current offerings from Lego as far as the modular buildings go. It is 50 by 29 studs length and width, and it's almost 37 studs high. So it's a good sized building and it will fit in really well with the new buildings, that being said. So this isn't going to snap into your diner or your fire brigade or your green grocer per se. And you really wouldn't want it to because it's on a dock. It's meant to be in water, right? It's not in town. So it's its own modular theme that works really well with this designer's other works. So if you're not so familiar with Rebrickable, if you follow the link down below to check out this one, let's say, you could click on this designer's name, that Jepaz, hit that and it will bring up a whole page or so of this designer's, all their creations that they've made. And this one has its own modular theme, which is the dock, this harbor city community theme. Pet stores and coffee shops and hotels and post office and restaurants. So many different buildings. You could literally make your entire Lego harbor community city out of just this work alone. And it's pretty impressive. So when I picked this one is because I had most of the parts to do it, but I could have picked any of them and I would have been really happy with any of them as far as being exciting to build or something that I would actually feel proud to put in my city. This one's gonna go into the city, into the harbor area. I'm gonna try to squeeze one more in there and possibly one of the lighthouses because they have 2 or 3 different lighthouse offerings that are really good. So I'm thinking about putting one of those lighthouses in my city for sure. Now, let's take a look at this. Oh, I should say this is just under 3,000 pieces, and according to Rebrickable, you can do, let's say you want to buy all the parts for it. Let's say you have no parts whatsoever, right? You want to buy all the parts for it. That's an option on Rebrickable to click on using Bricklink, independent stores, and Brickowl, and it will give you an estimate of what it would cost. This one about $350 to $400 US dollars to build this if you had nothing. For 3,000 pieces about, you know, it's a little higher than probably a Lego set, but it's not that outrageous, and chances are you have some of the bricks anyways to do it, or you could be like me and compensate by taking different color choices or what have you. So let's get into it. Let's start with the front. Now looking at the front of the building, it's done in dark tan. It is available in 2 different colors. I think they both look really good. I went with this one because I had most of the dark tan masonry bricks anyways, and I think they were both even as far as my opinion how they looked. The thing that really caught my eye originally looking at this mock and deciding which one of these many good buildings that the designer has was this roof design here. This jagged type edge around where the two pieces of the roof go together. To me, that was very unique. I had not seen that particular technique before. Now, I will say that it is not difficult, but you need to look at the PDF. And the PDF, let me just say, the PDF quality is great. It is just like your offerings from Lego as far as having the piece highlighted and clearly shown where it needs to go. That being said, I would say this still falls into that 14, 16 and up creator modular type of buildings. Maybe younger if you have a lot of experience, but you definitely need to watch where the pieces go in here, or you can get messed up and maybe have to backtrack a little bit on it. Now, this roof is done in a light gray besides the dark gray that is part of the PDF instructions. I just preferred the light gray. I also had the light gray. I might have been able to eke out the dark gray if I really siphoned it from a lot of other buildings. I didn't really want to go there if I didn't need to, and I really do like the light gray. Also, this top part here giving this height, I thought that's a nice touch for it as well. I was quite pleased with how that turned out. So the next thing that's obvious looking at the original pictures and in mine is this awning area here. Now that's one thing I did not have as far as these corner pieces. I did not have the white that was needed. I went with this blue because that's what I had, and I used the dark blue with the white in the front, and then this medium blue that I thought matched as close as I had on the side here. Now, I will admit that I believe that the designer's choice of the white and the gray definitely looks better with it. It gives it a different feel. I would say mine almost looks more like a restaurant than a market, being that it's brighter with the blue. That's just what I think of. But I will say, full disclosure, I'm not sure if I'm going to keep this awning on the building at all, because honestly, my area that it's going to go into in a city is more industrial, more commercial than it is retail. And a seafood market is more retail. And I'm not really going to have anything else that would fall into that same feeling in my harbor dock rail yard area. So I'm thinking of taking off the awning anyways and making it more of a warehouse where the fishermen would come in and they would dump off their catches of the day, and then it would go on to the rail cars behind. So moving on, the next thing that really was appealing to me was the deck itself here, the platform. And that's because it's big enough to do some interesting scenes. So if you're like me, you like to use the minifigs to make things come alive and set up different scenes and put some action happening around a building or a part of town or what have you. And this is definitely large enough to do that. It's wide enough, plus it wraps around the whole front of the building, which is a lot of fun. You can put a boats off on the side. You can put several boats actually all around it if you wish to. Now, this is looking a little different from the PDF, from what it looks like in Rebrickable. Mine has more colors. So what I did was I used pieces from the old fishing store and the treehouse, which I had both of those sets built, and then I combined them in a review of a mock that I actually found in Rebrickable as well. I'll put a link up on top if you didn't see that video. It's interesting. It made an impressive set. I actually dropped that mock on a wood floor, so I created lots of extra pieces. And I was not too thrilled about rebuilding it again after just having built it only a month prior. So I decided to use those pieces for something else. So I kind of spiced up this deck area here, having I think maybe 4 different colors besides it might be 2 in the original instructions. So that's how that came to be, that I've got these printed pieces and then some other colors going on. Some other changes are the black poles here. These posts are black with the white on top, where on the original directions it's brown with the white. I just had the black. I think that looks just fine. Now, getting into what I had mentioned earlier about having some issues, mostly being my own, or pretty much all being my own, is that when I started this project, I started it in kind of a hurry, and I wanted to get it going. I didn't really have all the parts for it, but I thought I could really get away with just ordering those dark brown, those dark tan, I should say, masonry bricks. So that was my objective, just to use everything else that I had, except for ordering those essential bricks. Now, that being said, underneath this whole deck area is a bunch of brown, different 1x whatevers and 2x whatevers. Most of them are a little bit longer, 10, 12, 6, 8. And I didn't have all the ones that I needed because it requires quite a bit. And I have a lot of other pieces wrapped up in different projects and such. So I thought I could just use smaller pieces. So if I needed a 8, I'd use 2 4s or a 6 and a 2 or what have you. So I kind of just used what I had, but I wanted to keep the same brown color. So just in case I was taking pictures of it, that you would see that it was the brown underneath. And in retrospect, I should have just used black or something else because you really can't tell. But I wasn't sure at the time when I was building it. And I wasn't building it on this blue plate either. I was just building it off of nothing, no base plate whatsoever, which isn't the best thing either. It makes it very unstable. So I compromised the integrity of the deck. I made it very fragile by not using what was recommended in the PDF instructions. So if you're going to build this model, I would highly recommend using what's required as far as the pieces down below. So moving around to the back of the building, this is where I did my modifications. I needed to remove this staircase here so I could put a dock and platform for the rail line that's actually going right behind this building in the Lego City. So with that being done, I needed to move up this opening in this doorway as well, so it would be lined up well with the platform. Now this platform here is just something that I threw together quickly for the video and just for myself to see how that would line up and how it would all look within the Lego City. There will be some sort of platform behind the building. I'm not sure if it's going to be this one or not. This may be used somewhere else. So this area, like I before mentioned, will be more commercial and warehouse type buildings. So that's also going to be right back here as well. But I think for purposes of getting an idea of what this building is really going to be used for, this works out quite well. I added this light right here. I do want to put all lighting in my city as it starts to grow inside the buildings and outside. So I thought I'd do a little forward thinking and just put this light right by the door here as well. I built this custom buffer stop mock here for the rail cars so they don't go into the water. And I added just some details and such around here just so we could see what it would look like. But I'm really happy how this turned out. I think it looks quite well actually, and it gives a good idea of what it's going to look like in the city. Now the next thing to address is the interior of the building. If you're familiar with my channel at all, I'm usually really big on doing the interiors. I've added detailed interiors to older actual Lego sets. And this time I did just the opposite. I did not do an interior of this building. Here's some pictures of what it looks like from Rebrickable as far as what the interior is. It looks great. It's quite detailed. But once again, I don't think I'm gonna use this building as a seafood marketplace. So I didn't really see the point of going through and maybe getting some of these bricks and going through and spending the time putting this interior inside. There's plenty of good pictures on a Rebrickable that you can take a look at here that show what the interior would look like. If you're going to use it as a seafood market, it's excellent. I think the detail is great. I just didn't really need to do that since I'm not going to be using it as that. Also, just to be honest, I wanted to save some bricks as far as like the flooring and such goes, because I just have a lot of projects going on within the Lego City. I'm going to need a lot of bricks, and I didn't really feel it was really cost effective to do the interior of this particular building at this point. Really happy with how the building turned out. Hopefully you like it. If you liked it and you liked the video, please give a thumbs up. I'm gonna now take this and put it into the Lego City on the table at least, so we can see what it looks like next to the rail lines. And then I am going to hit the bricks so I can start working on the whole area around it and maybe some of the other actual buildings. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you if you subscribed and if you hit the bell notification. If you haven't, now would be a great time to do so, coming up with new updates and new videos weekly. So I am going to end it there, and thank you very much. We will see you next time.